Hi everyone, Julie here. Today I want to talk about listening. So listening is a very important skill because you learn a language to communicate with people, and if you can't understand what they're telling you, then the communication is not happening. And so it's a very, very important skill, but it's also a very difficult one because contrary to the other input skill, which is reading, you can't pause, you can't, well, in real life, right? You can't really pause, you can't read the same sentence over and over again, you can't turn the volume up, you can't slow it down, you can't, you're not in control, really. And so that makes it very difficult, I think. Now, there are many ways you can practice listening. One of them is active. It's a little bit like active reading, where you will pause whenever you find a word that you don't know, probably use subtitles so you can associate the pronunciation that you hear, or what you hear with what you read and how it's spelled. And you can identify these words and Google them and make flashcards and etc. And then there is passive listening, which I think is super important. And for that, you want to recreate a real life situation where you don't slow it down, you don't pause it, you don't put subtitles on, like you really recreate a real life situation. And you focus on the global meaning. Because when you talk to people at first, when you're like still kind of beginner, lower intermediate, you really need to rely on your brain's capacity to understand the global meaning of the sentence or sentences that the person is kind of throwing at you, without necessarily knowing each word. And that is freaking frustrating. But if you already trained your brain to have a more glass half full mindset and focus on the words that it does recognize, then you will be able to kind of deduce without even thinking, it's a completely like, subconscious, subconscious uh, process. And so you'll be able to, understand what people are telling you because you've trained your brain for it. So yeah, I really, really encourage you to ditch the subtitles and just kind of bite the bullet and listen to a whole podcast, a whole episode of whatever, and focus on the global meaning and the few keywords that you catch. At first, it might literally be two keywords, like two words that you understand from a whole episode. And it's frustrating, but it's fine. Like that's how I started with Arabic. I would understand literally like two words, and these words were always like hello and thank you. And I was super freaking happy. I was like, yeah, I understood something. And now I understand most words. I still struggle sometimes, like especially when I talk to real people, it's like they talk faster, they use more slang, etc. So it's still a struggle for me, the listening part. But I see the improvement, honestly, because I don't get frustrated. I enjoy it. And if I don't understand something, I just laugh about it and move on. So yeah, this was today's advice. Again, I'm sorry if it didn't feel like something mind-blowing. It might be pretty obvious to some people that you need to listen to become good at listening, but this was my advice. Don't get frustrated, don't use subtitles, and recreate these real life situations with everything that you listen to. And I promise you it's going to get way better. All right, bye everyone. See you tomorrow for some speaking advice.